The second system that we want to know in greater detail is the digestive system. But first, let's review circulation. So circulation begins here where the right atrium collects all the blood high in CO2, and then it goes to the right ventricle. From there, it goes out the pulmonary artery. Remember, arteries carry blood away from the heart to the lungs. Then it's oxygenated and it's brought back to the pulmonary vein. Remember, all veins carry blood back to the heart. One difference, though, the pulmonary vein and the pulmonary artery aren't the same as other arteries and other veins. What's different about this particular artery compared to all the other arteries? Well, all the other arteries in the body carry blood that is high CO2 or O2 content. The pulmonary artery is the only artery that contains low oxygen and high CO2. Same with the pulmonary veins. Most veins carry blood that is low in oxygen. However, what do you notice about the pulmonary vein? It's high in oxygen. It's the only one. So we get to the left atrium, we go to the left ventricle, and then through the aorta to all the parts of our body to dump off oxygen. Here's the structure of the heart again. We should be able to know some of the major parts. There's the big aorta. Here, number 10, that's the left atrium. Number 7, left ventricle. This is the right ventricle, and here's the right atrium. Let's look at what happens in regards to oxygen and carbon dioxide exchange in capillaries. So we get to the lungs, and the lungs have capillaries, and our blood dumps off carbon dioxide into the lung and receives oxygen into the capillary through diffusion, and away go the blood cells, now rich in oxygen, to be taken to the heart, back to the heart, into our, right here, our left atrium, to the left ventricle, out the aorta, to all the parts of our body. So arteries differ from veins. Arteries carry red blood, high in O2. Veins carry blue blood, which is low in O2 and high in carbon dioxide. Most larger veins contain valves to help prevent blood from backflowing downward. They're under low pressure veins. Arteries are under high pressure. Arteries carry blood high in oxygen, with the exception of the pulmonary artery, and veins carry blood high in carbon dioxide, which with the exception of the pulmonary vein. Arteries carry blood away from the heart, veins carry blood to the heart. Let's look at the digestive system now. Our digestive system consists of the following parts: the esophagus, well, first the mouth. Inside our mouth we have teeth, and we have salivary glands to help mechanically and then chemically with the salivary glands break down food. Then it goes to the esophagus, into the stomach. The stomach has muscles as well as hydrochloric acid to help break down food even further into smaller bits and pieces. From there it goes into our small intestine, and it's fairly well broken down now. The small intestine is really important because nutrients that are important to our bodies are absorbed back into our bloodstream for our cells to get in the small intestine. Anything left over goes into the large intestine. Large intestine is really important too because it helps reabsorb water and then eventually out through our rectum. So there's mechanical breakdown through these processes, but there's also chemical breakdown through enzymes. So here are the structures that we talked about. So let's talk about the salivary glands. So the salivary glands help secrete saliva into your mouth to chemically break down food. Don't worry about all these extra terms. We just need to know that that's what they do. Let's look at our stomach. So the esophagus connects here, and then our stomach has all these different muscular layers to help grind up the food. And then it connects into the small intestine, or the first part of the small intestine, which is called the duodenum. Here's our small intestine. It contains 3 regions, and it's most important because it has villi in them. These villi are kind of tiny little finger-like projections. They maximize surface area, but they have capillaries around them so that what happens is once all the food is broken down small enough, it dissolves or diffuses into the capillary network, which is then taken to the cells of our body. Here's what it looks like again. Again, if you unfold the small intestine and you blow it up like this, you'll see these tiny little fingers called villi, which have capillaries in them. And then the nutrients dissolve or diffuse into the capillary bed, which takes the important nutrients like carbohydrates and fats and proteins to our cells. Here's our large intestine. And our large intestine, we don't need to know all the specific details, but it kind of looks like this shape. And then it's connected to our rectum and then our bum, of course. And let's go back to the large intestine for a second, because as I said before, one of its major jobs is to reabsorb water. And so it's water reabsorbing organ. If you get dehydrated, one thing that might be going wrong is maybe your large intestine isn't working well enough to get any important moisture out of the leftover food before it becomes poop. Our liver functions to make bile, which helps break down fats, and it also serves a few other functions which we don't need to know yet. It controls or detoxifies alcohol and drugs from our blood system, and it contains glycogen, which helps monitor or control. We'll get into that later. So our pancreas contains insulin. Insulin helps monitor blood glucose levels, and the liver removes excess glucose from the blood and breaks down fat through bile. So the liver has glycogen, and the pancreas makes insulin. The cow, I just want to comment quickly about its digestive system because it only eats grass usually, or plant-like material, which is hard to break down. So the cow has 4 chambers in its stomach, 1, 2, 3, 4, to try and break down that very difficult grass. A couple diseases. Anorexia, which is what this picture is showing, is a disease of the digestive system. Also, ulcers in our stomach. Stomach ulcers can be caused when the lining of the stomach gets so thin that the acid starts to eat away at the stomach. And this can be caused by stress. And this one's talking about glucose and sugar in your bloodstream. And as we said before, the pancreas, if it isn't making any insulin, then you can have what's called diabetes, and that can cause unbalanced blood glucose levels in your bloodstream. Let's look at this quick video clip about the digestive system.
these are really good. My compliments to the chef. Dear Tim and Moby, how do we digest food? From Sam. Oh, why thank you. Digestion is about breaking apart the food we eat so that our bodies can use the food's nutrients. Food is broken up in two ways, mechanical digestion and chemical digestion. Mechanical digestion is the physical breaking apart of food. Chemical digestion is when chemicals called enzymes break food into molecules that your body can absorb. Both types of digestion occur in our mouths. Chewing mechanically breaks food apart, while an enzyme in your spit called salivary amylase breaks down carbohydrates. When food you eat becomes a soft, gooey mass, your tongue pushes it to the opening of your esophagus at the back of your mouth. The esophagus squeezes the food down into the stomach. Inside your stomach, food is churned and mixed with enzymes and other digestive juices, including hydrochloric acid. These chemicals break down proteins and fats. A lining of mucus protects your stomach from the acid. After about 4 hours in your stomach, food is the consistency of a thick milkshake, and we call it chyme. Chyme moves into the small intestine, which is actually not so small. It's about 7 meters long. The small intestine is where most of the nutrients from food are absorbed. In the first part of the small intestine, called the duodenum, digestive juices from the liver and pancreas join the breakdown mix. They turn the chyme into a soup of molecules small enough to be absorbed into your bloodstream. Well, there are these tiny finger-like things called villi lining the inside of the small intestine. Cells on the surface of the villi absorb nutrients from chyme as it flows by. When chyme gets to the large intestine, it's thin and watery. The large intestine is actually way shorter than the small intestine, but because it's a lot wider, it's called large. Sometimes it's called the colon. The large intestine sucks most of the water out of digested chyme in a process called absorption. This step is important because recovering that water keeps you from getting dehydrated. Once most of the water is gone, solid waste is moved to the last part of the large intestine, the rectum. When enough waste piles up there, you're ready to go to the bathroom, and the digestive process is complete.